Okay, so the intro's a little dramatic, but that's okay. This motherboard is pretty dramatic. So, what the crap's going on, YouTube? Air of Carthage here with the B360M mortar from MSI. Obviously, MSI sponsors this channel, as many of you know, and they wanted me to let you all see this motherboard, and I had to start things out to kind of indicate that this motherboard is kind of named after and intended to give you the feel like you can conquer the battlefield. Now, anyway, here I'm taking it out of the box, trying to show you what it looks like and what comes in the box. So here is the motherboard itself, a very beautiful specimen. The heat sinks on these models are absolutely beautiful. Got the naming and the Arsenal Gaming stuff there. You can see some steel armor on the PCIe. Looks beautiful. Let's see what else is in the box. And of course, we'll cover the features of the motherboard in more detail. But as we pull open what's underneath, we'll see that this board is intended to be a probably budget to mid-range board, and the contents reflected. Here's your disk with your drivers, and then within we've also got a couple of serial ATA cables. This side we got your back plate, nice little back plate, stuff that you would expect would come with the motherboard. And then underneath that we've got some quick instructions and then also a guide in order to have more thorough instructions. So all the stuff you would expect in a budget range motherboard. And I know you can't hardly see that, but it's a small screw for the M.2 drive. So MSI has built this board to be the affordable standard for gaming when it comes to Intel processors. Your 8th generation Core i7 and Core i5 6-core processors. Probably one of the first things you noticed is the redesigned heat sinks where it says Arsenal Gaming and Mortar. These beautiful heat sinks have been increased in size to make sure that the cooling is sufficient to help you get the most power out of these new Intel 8th gen processors while you're gaming. So let's run through some of the key features and supports that this board offers. It can support DDR4 memory up to 2666 MHz. It's got twin turbo M.2 ports for the latest NVMe SSD drives for maximum speed while gaming and in boot up. All the fan headers support PWM or DC for maximum customization of your cooling. Audio Boost gives you the premium gaming audio. It's fully isolated from the rest of the motherboard with 7.1 output. You're seeing the input-output here, tons of options for USB, even a USB Type-C, and you'll also see the steel armor there on the PCIe slot. This board is built to last and built to do the most in your gaming. Now, those of you who watch my channel know that I demand the absolute best for gaming because I record the games and they have to be in fantastic quality at high frame rates. So I figured the ultimate way to test this motherboard would be to put it into my build with all my high-end parts and see how it handles that, see how it runs the games. Can this motherboard do the work that I demand? Because if it can do the work I demand, I guarantee you this little beauty will carry you through any gaming battles that you have. So what I've got in here, I've actually even shown how versatile this is in the sense that I'm even using water cooling on it. I've got the NVMe drive plugged into the M.2 slot, and here I've even got a 1080 Ti installed into this motherboard. Again, this is a budget board. I'm cranking it full of high-end parts. You can see that it's a little bit small for this case. It's obviously meant to be a little more compact for other cases, but I've even got 4 sticks of RAM in it as well. So we've got this thing absolutely decked out. Can it take everything I'll throw at it? And of course, the answer to that is a resounding yes. Absolutely, it will take everything I throw at it. Look at all the fans I have connected to it, a radiator. I have an M.2 drive, a 2.5-inch SSD, a traditional 3.5-inch hard disk drive. And you can see here that not only does the board take everything I've thrown at it, it looks absolutely beautiful in the process, along with my parts here. So just showing you what it looked like booted up. And again, I normally run a $500 flagship MSI motherboard, and obviously it has even more features than this one, but I'm just trying to show you all that this motherboard is good enough quality at a budget price that it can even do what I demand from a motherboard, and I normally use one that is tiers and tiers above. So that's why this thing is the affordable standard from MSI for running Intel chips. Just a couple of last points to run through. If you want to buy a K variant Intel chip because you want to overclock, that is not what this board is intended for. It is more intended for a non-K variant because the B360M does not support overclocking, right? It does support XMP for your memory profile, so that is definitely a nice feature, but not meant for the K variant overclocking. So this would be for your 8700 or your 8600 processors, 8400, 8100, any of those. I've also spliced in some gaming clips here so you can see just how good this thing looked while gaming and recording footage. Absolutely beautiful, as these chicken fried Skaven can attest to. So yes, this board looked beautiful. I even recorded my videos on it for about a week. Thing ran beautifully and took all the punishment that I could throw at it. So only downside really between this and the Z370 board I normally use to me is mine has a few more PCIe slots, a little more steel armor, obviously some other features that come with it, a lot of RGB support and other things like that, but this board will take anything you want to throw at it. It was fantastic. It did the job nicely. Highly recommend this one if you're going to get into a budget Intel build. In fact, I will have a link in the description to PC Part Picker where you can go see some builds that I've made specifically for this board. Thank you so much to MSI for sending it to me, allowing me to review this and use it. I highly recommend you go check this one out if you're going to get into an 8th gen Intel build at the budget level.